Hello, welcome to my studio. I'm an industrial designer and the director of Studio Sahil. At the moment, we're in my studio space. I moved in here in February 2025, so quite recently. And today I'm going to give you a quick tour of my studio. First of all, I moved here after being in the same building for 5 years. I decided to move to this space because of its layout. It's south-facing, it has double glazed windows, which is important for London winter. But I also have a sink and the layout really works for what I am showing in the studio. And it's a great working space. And we are located in Angel, so it's next to the Angel station. And if you like to visit, I'll leave the details below and you can sign up for an appointment. But we also do open studio events, so you can subscribe to our newsletter and visit the studio as you're in the area. First, let's start with this corner. This is sort of the display of what projects we've done in the past, but also some of our bigger glass items. The studio space is about 20 square meters, and these are some of the earlier collections of combining glass with sand. Glass is made out of sand, and what I was interested in looking at the history of glass and different making techniques and see if I can take this material further. But also sand usually is considered as a contamination or an impurity. However, glass is made out of sand, very specific type of quartz sand. And my curiosity was, what if I combine glass with actual different sands from different parts of the world? And from the experiments, I found out different sands result in different patterns and textures. So this is one of the larger vases that's from the early collections, and half of it is sand from southern Turkey and the other half is from a different bay in the same area. But we also have pieces such as this decanter with sand from Iceland. That results very differently than that other sand. We also have a bit more sculptural pieces, so you can see that we did a swirly pattern with sand on this one. These are some of the objects, and then here we also have I call them AI vases because I did them when the DALL-E and ChatGPT was very new in 2023 and submitted to the Venice Glass Week curatorial application. It got selected, so this piece got exhibited in Venice Glass Week 2023, and it's called Imposter Vessel because no one had seen the final version of the vase until the exhibition. It was just the AI image, and it was described in the application that I will create a sculptural piece based on an AI rendering. Now that AI has advanced, this is a very early example of understanding craft and digital technologies, where that gap lies or where they can be bridged. So moving on to that corner, let's go. So we have the Lexus Design Award prototypes here. I did Lexus Design Awards in 2019, and these are glass tiles with desert sand, and these are ceramics tiles with desert sand. Desert sand is an abundant material, and here's a little bit of the process. It's an abundant material that could be utilized for different materials, but also could be used in surfaces, accent walls, but this also allows translucency, so you can still let the light in while having a nice effect with this. And some other prototypes, postcards from past exhibitions. Again, some of the news and articles that got published. This project is one of my favorites. I did an installation which is permanently displayed at Hart Shoreditch. Here we have the latest silk scarves and some of the previous silk scarves. You can see that these are made in very fine quality, hand-hemmed edges. This is based on a gouache painting. These are more vector images that I created and colored. We have the brand Studio Sahil and the light wool scarf, which is inspired from the St. Pancras interiors and the color palette from there. And this is the Inti scarf, which is one of my favorites, based on Inca and pre-Inca patterns. And that's also an example of how we do our packaging. So a box that stores the scarf, and you have a little note and a card that explains how to look after your scarf. I usually also have these white gloves because some glass is so fragile that it's better to hold it with the gloves, not to damage the surface with fingerprints and oils from your hands. And these are the Cappadocia jewelry. I usually keep them open display when there are visitors, but today I am keeping them in little bags so that they don't get too much dust. Here we have our shelving, so you can see all of our glass pieces, our packaging boxes, and a little bit of our sand collection. These are all the packing materials, so I use these for packing orders and also keeping some of my supplies. These are all the stands from different parts. And let's see, we have from Italy, we have Dubai, bit of Greece. So I combine these sands with hand-blown glass. This is another decanter, some small vases. Idyllic Summer collection is also based on Turkish and Ottoman glass blowing techniques in a contemporary interpretation of how we can take that technique into a more contemporary design world. These are the cake stands. So you can use these in two ways. You can use it as a cake stand, but you can also use it as a dip bowl. So you can have hummus or guacamole in the middle. And then some of the bowls. So this is one of my favorites, confetti bowl, because of how fun the color is. So it can be a centerpiece bowl and you can have your food, a little bit of fruit on display, or just keep it as it is. And this is one other version of the artificial intelligence vases. So it generated a vase like this, but back in the day when AI was still early, it doesn't understand what a vase is, so it's a vessel. I don't think it will be functional. It's a more sculptural object. Here we have a bit of storage. Let's open this. This is where all the extra tape and paint, and then some little sculptures. Again, more studio supplies here. So this is where I usually work every day, and Floki sleeps under the desk on his bed, and he comes to work every day. Yes, I know, but you're not licking the face. No. And yeah, so this is my work setup, some pencils, tools, bit of coloring pencils, and also some favorite markers. I have another video about this. And then back here I have a sink, so that makes cleaning and preparing coffee a bit easier. And then there's a coffee machine. There's a bit of kitchenette over here because I get studio visitors and I like to offer them tea and coffee when they visit, also just for myself. So that's sort of the studio serving area. Thank you for watching the studio tour. I hope you enjoyed it and have a lovely day.